Let's go! Not over.
Hey, everybody. It's Keith Gleason from Indie Comics Relay. And I am here with my good co-host and friend, Johnny C., creator of Sartana, Surrounded by Death. How's it going, buddy? I kind of screwed thing up. But...
No, it's okay, man. We're on Cali time still.
Oh, my Lord, dude. I just talking to you for a few minutes backstage. I'm like, oh, God. Johnny is still on, out there because of Did you fly back late last night? Was it?
So I, hopped a plane at 9 p.m. West Coast time last night. Had an overnight flight, and then I landed at 5:30 this morning. And I'm basically on like 48 hours right now going. In all circumstances, I had a very cozy seat on the plane, but I couldn't sleep a wink. I don't know if it
dude.
Yeah, I had a seat open adjacent to me. Like, it was great. I was cozy. It was just like I couldn't sleep. I couldn't, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, so I mean, it was my first time being out to San Diego, and I know this isn't the proper, special edition was just kind of like an offshoot show. My impression of it was I could tell it was toned down. There was a bunch of tables empty, which was crazy. It felt like very much like New York Comic Con did this last October in a lot of ways. With that being said, I had a great time. We did pretty good. Money-wise.
I did great. I did great on Saturday.
Sold a bunch of comics. My suitcases were a lot lighter coming back, which was nice,
Yeah.
We were very close too. You were one aisle over from me, which was awesome.
Yep. I think we had people that we knew in almost every aisle of small press.
Yeah, like the biggest difference I would say from other cons for me was that my booth mates were all involved in Hollywood somehow. You know?
Yeah.
You know, like the guys, you know, Gilbert next to us, which you met, was an awesome dude, and
Yep.
Nick, who does the comic there, Monster, was it Monster Academy or something like that? Monster Elementary. And
That's
Gilbert
right.
was an actor who was like his hype man. And then we had the Instagram girl next on the other side of me.
Yeah, Instagram superstar Jaden Phoenix, I think what her name was.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yep.
Caden Phoenix.
Caden Phoenix, yep.
And then I didn't really talk to the guys across from me, so I don't know what they were all about. But everybody there seemed to be kind of like a little more California, West Coast than I'm
nicer,
used to.
a little bit more laid back.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Oh.
Good crowd for comics, though, I would say. Like from those big mega shows.
We weren't competing with Marvel or DC, which was helpful,
Yes,
but
yeah.
we also was competing with a holiday weekend, which made it a little bit difficult. You know what I mean?
Yo, yeah, definitely.
But overall, it was a great show, I think. The only downside, at times, from the perspective of, a Comic-Con, it felt more like a contingency plan than an actually like well thought out Comic-Con. Like we got our booth assignments, before our invoices. So
right.
And the way that resulted on the floor is we saw a lot of open tables that were labeled with people who probably never paid that invoice, right?
Yeah. And I mean, they literally, honestly, gave you like 2 weeks to pay it, right? Before the show is when we got the invoice. That was crazy. Yeah. Everything about the show said, hey, we threw this together in 2 months,
Yeah.
But
that being said, it was a great show.
Yeah, I mean, some of the feedback Amy was telling me, because she was reading some of the convention Facebook groups and stuff. Yeah. People were saying that they liked it because it was more casual and they got to see other vendors and other artists and writers that they don't normally see. Because my impression was that a bunch of the people there were on waiting lists and probably not the norm that goes to the summer edition, the regular summer show. So that's
or they were not vaxxed and didn't want to get the test or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. Because they were doing all that. They had the full protocol in effect. Enough even that we had like announcements almost every 2 hours just about putting your mask on.
Yeah, wear your mask over your nose and mouth.
We've only been in this for 2 years now, and we don't know what to do. I guess,
know, right?
So
but I mean, that being said, they did a pretty good job of like keeping people safe, and it was spread out enough where normally at a Comic-Con in July, you'd be swiping arm in arm with the guy you're walking by. Over here, there was plenty of space where you could cartwheel through the floor, and you're safe.
Yeah.
And I think the numbers, all said and done, and this is only what I heard, so I can't say if it's official, but if you look at July, it's normally anywhere between 130 to 150,000 people pre-COVID. I was told that the show this weekend was somewhere between 55 to 60,000 people across all the days. You know what I mean?
That's still solid for a show. Any other show, I mean, it was amazing. And like I think we told you in the car ride and everything that any other show on the East Coast, it was a huge success for us, The fact that we had to fly, we had to pay for all our food and get a hotel, we didn't make most of that back, but we did cover our table and at least a couple days expenses there,
And that's on the flip side that's on the flip side where you make it more of like a vacation, right?
Yes, and that's what we did. Thank God you've been there a handful of times, right? You've been going for 10 years or so.
Well, I was going to say it was great. One of the other aspects of going to the show is great because I've been there for 10 years. I've developed a group of friends out there I'm very, very close with. And then at this show, I actually got to meet some collaborators from your past. I got to meet Gaz Gretzky from Kid Switch. Gaz is such a great dude.
Yes.
It was so awesome to meet him. And then I was really happy that you and Amy were actually able to, come up with my friends. Mike and Chris and Chrissy and true. Josh.
I also met, so we're going to have remember we were going to talking about doing an open mic the next show. But I actually have a guy that wants to get on the show, so I put him in that spot. His name's Dan Pleagle. I met him at the show. He's
cool.
just a fan of Sartana, and he came up and talked to me. That was cool, and he's got a project that he wants to promote. So I said, "Yeah, come on the show." And then also, I got to finally meet my hero envy artist too, which was the first graphic novel that I did back in 2008. And his name is Jorge Pacheco. And I've been working with him off and on over the years, whether he does a pinup or a cover for me. So it was nice to finally meet him as well. You know? So there was definitely some fun things about the show. Yeah. So I had a blast.
And we learned to cut from the bottom, not from the
top. The Korean barbecue. Yeah, the food places Johnny took me were unbelievable there. So and I missed that aspect of the show, of going out there more than anything, is the food. Your friends were great. And then just having a day and a half, just to enjoy San Diego was key,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great.
I wish we were all together for a little bit longer, because on the yesterday before I left, I went to a shop over there called Now or Never Comics.
Okay.
That is run by a real cool guy by the name of Aaron, who came from here, Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's funny. He goes, yeah, one of the last conventions I did was in a mall on the South Coast. And I'm like, let me guess. Was it run by somebody whose catchphrase was Aloha?
Was it?
Oh, it was.
That the show?
And
my Lord.
And I go, oh, is that the same one where he backed the wrong horse? Meaning, he
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And he goes, oh yeah, that's the one.
Oh, so that guy was living in Massachusetts at the time? Oh,
yep,
wow.
And now he's out in San Diego. He's got an awesome 2-floor comic shop.
Oh, wow.
When we go back, Keith, we got to get more time out there so I can bring you to the shop and I can introduce you to Aaron.
Well, I hope I can get back in the summertime, because if I do, I would probably do that. I'll make it a whole week out of it, take half a week off to just, chill there,
Yeah. Pro tip, go a little bit before, go a little bit after.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll rely on your advice a little more, before we do that. All right. So let's say hello.
No further ado.
Yeah, let's say hello. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. Of course, we got Ara. What's up, buddy?
Ara,
haven't seen you in a couple weeks, man. Good to see you.
Always good to see you, Ara.
My wife, of course.
Hey, Amy.
She's not going to be doing. She's actually. I don't know if she's home yet. She's probably looking at the stream remotely. She was out with Beth and Mike. We all awesome. Were, and then I ran home to do the show. So we were out doing. We do trivia.
That's dedication, people.
Yes,
that's dedication. Keith pieced out from a night out with people to come do the show. That's awesome.
Well, we did we do trivia together a lot.
Nice.
And we did a trivia at the 99 in Gardner, and we came in second. We did pretty good.
Nice.
We got Jabo, what's up, buddy?
Jabo, what's up, man?
Abominable Grizzlies with us tonight. What's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for hanging out.
And I think let me see. We got Beth McNutt.
Oh, they're remotely watching us. Hey, Beth.
Nice. They're probably both.
Hey,
they're probably hanging out watching the show, which is
nice.
Awesome. And I think I saw a couple other people. Nope, that's it. We got a bunch of people watching, but not a lot of people. And Ara said, Keith and Johnny C, two of my favorite con men. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we try.
Thanks,
one other thing I want to check before we bring tonight's guest in. I want to take a look at the Sartana campaign. Johnny, what do you think the chances are that the campaign might have hit 30 by now?
I guarantee it's past 30 by now.
All right, let's take a look.
That's my guess. Yes,
you are correct, dude. $30,156. Awesome.
Without fail.
Awesome.
When I went out on Saturday night and I was talking to comic creators, and I actually I met a comic shop owner.
Okay.
I forget the name of the shop, but the guy's name is Matthias. Real great guy. Okay. Awesome dude. And I referenced Sartana. He goes, I love Pete. Pete's a great guy. And I go, well, you got to see what he's doing. I go, you got to see what he's doing right now on Indiegogo. I mean, the fulfillment that they're doing through there is amazing. And sure enough, here's the product of it. They were pretty shocked to hear it.
I saw Pete announced yesterday on Twitter that the books are coming in from the printer next week or the week after.
Okay.
So fulfillment is going to be starting right after that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's going to close this campaign and start prepping the winter one, which is
it going to be
next.
Like in demand, or is it done?
No, what I think he's going to do is he's going to just start selling it on the regular Alterna site after this.
Gotcha.
So, but he may, when he does the campaigns, he may have the back issues available. So, like, I think Mighty Mascots 5 is supposed to be in the next campaign. So you probably can get the 1 through 4, previously. But I mean, this thing is awesome. I mean, I've talked about this many times.
The case is great.
The case is awesome. These trading cards, these are going to be great. And it's going to be one or two of them every campaign. So this is how you start your collection, is right here. So these are the first two: Red Koi and Chiron Marvel from Robert Geronimo's Blood Realm, which Blood Realm is also doing a campaign right now too. So
nice! Big shout out to Robert. We had him on the show before. He was a great guy. Yeah,
he's awesome. And so if you like Robert Geronimo's Blood Realm, he's crowdfunding the new one right now as well. But this is how you get Mighty Mascots, basically. So right here, just back the campaign.
Tinseltown too. We had David at the show.
Yes, I got to finally meet David Lucarelli too.
Yeah,
I got to share all my pictures. Yeah, Dave was great, dude, man. I knew he would be though, just from talking to him on streams and stuff. I knew he was going to be an awesome dude.
Yeah, real great guy.
With an interesting job too, the ADR. ADR
I didn't know that. That was a fun fact. Yeah.
Yeah, worked on the
he swung by the table and he picked up the pond. It was pretty awesome.
And that's right. He came and bought your book. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it was pretty cool of him to do that. I really hope he enjoys it.
Shout out to Dave who did Tinseltown.
Big shout out to Dave. Thanks, Dave, for supporting us.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So without that, tonight's guest. Tonight it's the second half of Catch the Craze podcast.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago we had Jorge Medina on, who's one of the hosts on Catch the Craze podcast. Now we got the second host, or actually the originator of the show, I believe, Sam Vera. So without further ado, let's bring him on.
Sam in.
Sam, how's it going?
Sam,
Welcome to
What's up, guys?
Nice to finally meet you, man.
Yeah,
I know we kind of missed the campaign, which sucks. I know it ended yesterday. You said right? You had two going, right? I thought I saw one on Indiegogo too, right?
Yeah. So because the last time I did a backup campaign on Indiegogo for a catch-up campaign after the Kickstarter ended.
Okay.
Because I have a small group of people that won't go over to Kickstarter for some reason.
There's those tribes though.
Yes.
They like their brand.
There's dedicated fan bases, for sure. And
it's like McDonald's, Burger King, or Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts. It's like it's like there's always like people that like one format or the other. And now, interesting that you do both. Now, do you like one format over the other?
Well, this is the last time I'm doing an Indiegogo.
Okay.
So
you built your fan base mostly on Kickstarter then?
Yeah, which it was, the whole thing was confusing because when I originally launched Forbidden Zero, I launched it on Indiegogo.
Okay.
And we were funded, we did well, but then I got all this feedback saying, you need to bring it to Kickstarter. So issue 1, I launched on Kickstarter. Okay. But then I got a few emails from the guys on Indiegogo say, hey, are you going to bring? So I just did a backup campaign, and only a few backers wanted the copy. So I did a backup campaign, which is an additional 15 days after the 30 days. And that was just a long, grueling 45 days. I didn't want to do that again. Okay. So this time I decided just to do dual and, run it on both. Okay. But it was harder to run simultaneous two campaigns. And it just felt like it was just exhausting.
Being pulled in two directions.
Yeah, it was just exhausting. I won't do it again. And because we've done Catch the Crazies on Kickstarter and in Forbidden, I'm just gonna keep everything on Kickstarter and just say adios to Indiegogo.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I mean, if you build your audience on one of the platforms, it's hard to jump ship and then expect everybody to kind of follow you over to the new place, because people are, they're just kind of set in their ways a lot of the time, you'll launch a whole campaign and you'll go and you do a hard push everywhere, go to all these shows, and then still you'll get people going, oh, I didn't know you launched a campaign, I mean, it's like you constantly get that kind of stuff, so
I also feel like a certain type of book excels on Indiegogo versus another certain type of book would excel on Kickstarter. There's definitely two different built-in audiences between the two platforms. Not to say that they're exclusive to each other, but I would feel like some certain style of books would overperform in one platform versus the other side.
Yeah, and we're new. We this is only our second year on crowdfunding to the whole game, and we've been lucky that every campaign that we had on Kickstarter was funded.
Great. That's good to hear.
We're slowly rebuilding the audience.
Yeah, because George said, and I think we talked about it backstage a little bit, how so you were one of the earliest podcasts doing comic books back in the day. Probably, I'm going to say circa
2005.
2005. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And it was like Comic Geek Speak, and then
iFanboy
were the big ones at the time.
Yeah.
And then you guys were going strong. Did you guys have a solid base at that time?
It was crazy. Yes, we did. It was crazy. The reason why we did it is because I went to a pod camp at the New Yorker Hotel. And that's what
really?
And usually when you saw podcasting, it was always the cooking shows and all that stuff. So they were introducing podcast and they're saying this is the future, right?
Yeah.
So I walked away from the pod camp. I went to Sam Ash, got a mixer, got the mics. I called George and said, we're going to start podcasting. And he's like, what? He goes,
yeah.
You know anything about it? I said, we're going to figure it out. And,
that's like the Wu-Tang approach. That's dope.
Yes. So we just went, and we were always, we were a staple at the Big Apple Comic Con. We've done every show from 2005 to 2009.
Okay.
So we hit up every guest at that, and then it just built from that point on. I mean, we've had Neil Adams, we had so many people, and it was all audio. So when I look at it, you see like 50,000 downloads, all these things, and you don't know what that is, right?
Yeah,
so we're not picking up on it. We don't understand the momentum that we have, because there was no talk at that time of monetization or anything like that.
Analytics.
You're right.
Because exactly. All the analytics were stored in the back end of the platform. They didn't share it with the user. It wasn't as relevant then.
Is that still the case with audio podcasts? Like, can you monetize those now?
Yes,
of course. Yeah, Anchor. Anchor's huge for that.
Oh, gotcha. So is it like YouTube where you have to have a certain amount of downloads? And,
you have to have a certain threshold. Yeah.
Okay, and people have to listen for a certain amount of time, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think with audio, it's really about the download. So every time somebody's listening to it, so the amount of people.
Gotcha. But now that's harder because now everybody and their sister has a podcast now.
And with the lockdown, with COVID, everybody's cousins, grandmothers, and nephews all joined in on the bandwagon. So that's why for I think it was like 6 months you couldn't buy a microphone or a webcam because it was sold out.
Everybody.
Hey, this show was born.
Everybody was approaching me to do a podcast, and I was shutting it down. I was like, no, I don't want to start a podcast. Everybody has a podcast. It's the most uncoolest thing you could do.
Yeah.
Don't start a podcast. And Keith was like, hey, we should do a YouTube show. I was like, no, this is like podcasts. I don't want to do it. And I'm kind of glad I did because now I'm meeting so many awesome people. We got to put you guys on a spotlight. It's great.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Like we were those people, that started.
We were those people. Yeah.
Started in COVID, and but to be fair, I wanted to do one for a while. It just was finding the time to do it, and
the world stopped. It gave us a chance.
Yeah, everything kind of went away, all the distraction, and I was able to finally start it. And that's the thing, doing the show like this is once you start it, it's just becomes part of your routine.
Absolutely.
That's the hardest part is actually starting it,
And that's a good way to segue back kind of to our usual opening question, which we kind of bypassed.
Yeah,
So
we did.
Sam,
We kind of launched
yeah,
into.
we kind of just launched right into it. Sam, specifically as a creative spirit, what got you started? What were your inspirations and your muses that kind of catapulted you into being a creative individual, or more specifically a comic creator?
There was a lot of things in different times in my life. I mean, first it was I saw my brother draw when I was a kid, and he drew two monkeys in a barrel. And I was like, oh, I thought that was pretty cool. And then my mom was a big Archie comics. She got the digest size. She used to read that all the time. That was
Oh,
my
wow.
first introduction to a comic book. And I used to appreciate the art form, Jim Henson, Fraggle Rock, all that stuff. It wasn't until I saw Too Close for Comfort, because I used to draw as a hobby.
Oh,
And
that's
it was
right.
when I saw
Wasn't one of the who was one of the characters was an artist or
the
something?
father
on
was the
show?
artist.
That's
And-
right. Yeah.
and he was a comic. He drew a comic called Cosmic Cow.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, you can do this for a living? I mean, he was, and I saw it, I was like, that's a father. He has kids. I said, oh snaps, that's his job. And that was the point where I was like, I want to do this for a living.
It's funny
and-
how those little things don't click with you, like, and they're so obvious. Like,
Yes.
same with me. There was a lot of stuff like that where you don't put it together in your head until, like, it's like in your face or something.
Yeah, because you see it on TV, you
Yeah.
appreciate it, but then you don't realize there are human beings that are actually behind this. And I was like,
right. You
and
think
I
it's
used
some
to
magical
draw.
computer that made this stuff.
Yes. And then it was my mom's boyfriend, who I used to line up all my G.I. Joe action figures, and I would draw these scenes from copy my G.I. Joe action figures. And he says, you'll never amount to a true artist because all you do is copy.
Okay.
Right. And I was about 12 or whatever. And I stormed out. I went to the yard, and I went to my private little clubhouse that I made for myself. And I was pouting for a little bit. And I said, you know what? I'm going to show that little sucker. And from that point on, I would just challenge my creativity and draw from my imagination. And that's where it took off. And then
Awesome.
I created Cosmic Gorf, and it became Cosmic Wars. And that was then, fast forward, I was in the music business for a little bit. And then things happened. I lost my mom. My partner got shot. And so I went into like a downward spiral. And then I knew that we had a production company called Crazy Skills Productions. And at that time, I was 18 years old. And I knew that I wanted like a big empire. So everything was about crazy. So I knew I wanted a division called Crazy Comics. And Cast the Craze came from the podcast. So when I created the podcast, I called it Cast the Craze. And so my first imprint was Crazy Comics. And then I worked with a lot of different guys, and I met George at the School of Visual Arts. We were taking accredited programs, and we were in a life drawing class. And it's hilarious because we're in the life drawing classes, all guys in the life drawing classes, and then the damn models are all guys. I'm like, I'm tired of this, right? So I remember the instructor who's like, Sam, you keep drawing everything but. I said, there's not enough room for it and him. I'm only picking him. It's not going to happen, right? So I turned and I looked at George, and he turns towards me, and then we start talking, and he had a little booklet of a duck, hip hop duck, and I was like, well, look, I'm creating my own imprint, Crazy Comics, blah, blah, blah. And we started talking, and I introduced him to like the 11x17 drawing boards, all that stuff. And that's how we formed Crazy Comics.
That's awesome. And what year was that you guys formed?
We met, I was working on the Crazy Comics for years before I met George. And what year did we, it's probably 2003 when we started talking. Yeah, we go way back.
Yeah,
You guys are old school.
Yeah.
Well, and just hearing that though, and then looking at, you guys are still doing it now. It's so awesome to see that, man.
Yeah, that is. I mean, this whole industry is, you gotta love it, or it's like it's gonna just chew you up and spit you out. I mean,
yes,
you actually. Whenever I get down on everything, because we all have our bad days, we have bad shows, we have, whatever, rejection, like this whole industry is full of all of that stuff. And I can always go back to like just my love of just storytelling and comics, and that kind of gets me through to everything,
Yeah.
So I get that, but yeah, that's awesome that you guys were in it for so long. And I remember it's funny you mentioned the figure drawing class with the models. I had some doozies back in the day myself, so I totally get that.
Yeah, there was one story. It was we were all getting up. So the teacher was crazy. He would put a table in the front and he'll put a chair on top of the table and have this dude naked go up there and pose. I'm like, that's not safe, right? So the class is over. We're getting up and walking, and the guy's trying to get off, and he starts tumbling.
Oh, no.
And I went, my natural instinct was catch him. Then I saw what was coming my way. I was like, you're falling. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not catching it.
I think that would have been everybody's normal.
That's great. That's like that's like a movie.
Yes.
I remember one time we actually had a woman, and she was actually not bad looking, and I never talked to him about it with any of the other guys in the class, but I was like, everybody's secretly like, yes,
because you're trying to keep like professional attitude.
Yes, you have to act like you're not looking at a naked woman and like being turned on, and all that stuff. But like, that shit was funny, man. I remember those days.
For some reason, everybody went to the strip club after. I don't know why.
Right? But yeah, no, that stuff's funny. But so when was it that you produced your first comic? Was it shortly after that?
So it was we formed Crazy Comics. It was a new group because I was working with a previous group, and then everybody went their separate ways, and then we put the new group together. And I had a connection, a friend of mine who worked at a press, and so he gave me a deal on full color, high gloss printing. The caveat was he would just give it to us flat, so we would have to staple them and fold them ourselves. And so we would get these mountains of stacked of the books, and we would have to put everything together, fold them, staple them, and then we'd put like these heavy boxes on top of them to weight them down so they can be flat. So we had that, and we were paying pennies for it, and we wanted to do a convention, but we didn't have the budget, right? And so a friend of mine knew Michael Carbonero at Big Apple Comic Con.
Oh, I knew Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of.
Met him at Terrificon.
Yeah, so we went to the New Yorker hotel. They were having a Big Apple show there. We walk in, and he goes to introduce me, and he's like, "Who are you?" I said, "Well, my name is Sam." I said, I like to get a table. He goes, "Well, it costs this much. Go see that guy." I said, No, you don't understand. I'd like to get a table. And he goes, "Who are you again?" I said, "My name is Sam." He goes, "What do you want?" I said, it went back for 5 times. Like he would forget you in 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
ADD to the millionth degree, right? So then I said, I pulled out of my bag. I did a promo piece for the Big Apple, and I showed it to him. He's like, "Hey, that's my show." I said, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "You did that?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you do that for my next show?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, you do that for my next show, you got a free table." So that's how it happened. So then we did promos for him all the way through the 4 years we did the convention. So we used to do all his ads and all that stuff.
Because that show's been around for a while, right?
Long time, yeah. He's at the Penn Plaza Pavilion, the New Yorker Hotel.
Yeah, I've been to a few of them.
Yeah.
Michael Carbonaro, though, he's I know what you're talking about with the instant, I don't want to say
you got to slow him down.
Yeah,
I thought he was the guy from the New York Dolls before somebody told me who he actually was.
Yeah, he's like Mick Jagger on a lot of caffeine.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Like you got to be like a little like most of these convention goers or con promoters are a little out there, so me included. But Carbo's, he makes him and Gary Summers are like the two that are craziest that I know of.
Yes.
Just like colorful personalities and just
Keith, you're like one of the 3 that I trust.
That's good. All right, Johnny, I try. That's awesome. So you did that for 4 years for them, and then you went there to the show for free tables for those 4 years, and just
So we had a great partnership. We went to all his after parties. We supported him everything he did. So no matter what he asked, we would design it, whatever it was. And then on the podcast, we always promoted a Big Apple show, and
awesome.
That first show was pivotal for us because we looked like we had the jerseys, we had the baseball caps, we had high gloss comic books, we had the backdrops. I mean, and so there was so much attention on who are these guys. That was the worst thing that can happen to us for our egos, right? So we're there. Even Brian Polito's coming up to us, talking to us. We had here's a true story, and it's so this young kid comes over to me and he's like, "Hey, what's your book about? It's Cosmic Wars." I said, "Well, if you like Star Wars and if you like Fraggle Rock, it's a mix between the two, whatever."
Okay.
And then the kid walks away, and then George's like, "You know who you just talked to?" I said, "No, that's the young Boba Fett." I was like, you're like, he's the actor. He's actually signing at the show.
That's awesome.
But
That's
he
funny.
came over because we had lines, and it was just like everyone was like, "Oh, you color? How do you afford this stuff?" They thought we had this big budget. They didn't know I'm paying nickels for this stuff. And then we hand delivered it to all the comic book shops. Midtown
That's
Comics
awesome.
carried it, everywhere. So that was at a height
Jim
where
Hanley's universe.
yeah, there was no
another one.
rules. I mean, like we didn't have mentors, so we didn't know that we were breaking any rules. We just did it, and we had fun.
That's awesome. I mean, that's what the ground roots, like the
Yeah, I was gonna say it's true to form, like boots to streets, like effort. Again, like and
it's
that's
like kind of punk rock in a lot of ways. Like just
I think there's a lot. I see a lot of people when I travel, and I see them doing exactly that. And I don't think there's a magic bullet to making it per se, but that is a great big component of it. And it goes to show, because you guys said it yourself. It's like it didn't help your egos, but you're doing something right?
yeah.
Right. Yes, because in New York we built a fan base, and so we always did extremely well at the Big Apples. When we traveled, it was a humbling experience because we didn't have that same attention.
Yeah.
Every state was different,
Yes.
right? Some states we did better than others, and others we would be there like at a prom waiting for someone to ask us to dance, and it was nothing but crickets.
Yeah, no, I mean that's where the heartbreak comes in, like because you're not known in these other areas, and sometimes like especially if it's a niche book, that like where you feel like even like someone that has a superhero book probably has a better chance of being appealing to all different shows, right? But even then you'll find like a group of people that aren't into superhero stuff, that like horror, they like, but it's like it's where you go and the type
also
of people, right? John, you've run into that, I'm assuming.
So there's so many people who are reading manga now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So here I am with my little spaghetti western comic book, and it's not clicking for some people, or but it's kind of like you just have to know who you're talking to when you're pitching in the moment, because there's always something. I like to say that create something where there's always something for everybody. It's just a matter of verbally connecting them from A to B. You know what I mean? So it's like somebody's into horror. It's like, okay, well, these are my horror titles. What do you like? You have that conversation.
Like
and based on the quality of that conversation,
table,
that's where you connect to the individual, and you can make a sale and share your work with them,
Yeah. I mean, we've seen like a bunch of creators that do that, right? That have a different kind of book on their table and able to go from whatever show, horror, sci-fi, comic, whatever. My Little Pony show, whatever, So, they could go to all of that stuff because they have
it's funny that you say that too, though. But so Amy was next to me in California at the table, and she's got those modified My Little Ponies, and man, if there weren't so many people stopping to check those out, there's something there where people love those ponies.
Yeah, I know. It's just like she can't get the money that. What he's talking about is my wife, Sam.
Right.
She takes My Little Pony figures and sculpts them into other things. Like she has like a Demogorgon pony from like Stranger Things and a Mandalorian one, and they get a lot of attention. The problem is no one's willing to pay her the money that they're worth.
But they love looking at it, though.
They love looking at them.
It was definitely an eye catcher at the table for you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And she comes to a lot of the shows that I do, and I give her like her little section on the table to sell her stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's all part of it, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say,
Yeah.
Johnny? You said
I
it.
was just say we slipped into a tangent.
No, it's all right. Tangents are
You
good.
know,
Tangents are good.
when you're talking about that, I was like, all she needs is to get that one person that has a lot of clout to be able to
Yes.
pick it up and say, look, this is amazing. And then that, I think that's when people start opening up their wallets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Like
for
we
sure.
had, like we've had some success in New York with it. Like, she'd sold one of them to some guy that, just pissing through money at the show, and like, no, honestly,
Those are my
he came
favorite
up.
folks, though.
Yeah, I
Those are
know.
my favorites.
He's like, oh, what is this? It was she had made an Attack on Titan pony, and the guy didn't even know what it was. Like he just thought, oh, this looked great in my office or whatever, and just bought it. Just didn't even like think about it. It was just like one of a kind, high ticket item that he's gonna put in his office, and that's how she sold one of them. But like, there's people out there that do that. They just come in and just, hey, give me 10 of this or blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
you see all kinds at the shows.
Yeah. Yes.
But do you do a lot of conventions now, or do you or are you just kind of getting back into the swing of everything?
I just moved to Texas.
Oh, you're in Texas now. Okay.
Yes, I just moved. I got
That
here
must be
in
a
August.
culture shock going from New York to Texas.
Actually, I wanted to move out here for a while.
Do you-
My wife
do you-
is
Go
from
ahead.
here.
Oh, your wife is from here.
Yeah,
from
I
Texas.
was born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, and then
Okay.
when I got married, we moved to Jersey. But I've been wanting to leave New York, and then there was no better time with all this crazy stuff that's been happening.
to go
It
now.
seems like it's like the madness happens in New York and in California. That's where
Well,
all
and
the
plus
crazy.
it was pretty bad in New York, right?
Yes.
With all the weren't
I
they
mean,
like? I mean, I've heard some
violence
crazy
is out of
stories
control.
coming out of New
Yeah,
York.
it's just been crazy between the violence and all the decision making. It's just been crazy. So I was like, you know what? There's no better time than now,
To just get
especially
outta
while the
here.
market's hot. And so, it took us a while to get the house here because of the frenzy of everybody trying to move to Texas.
Yeah, right. Because a lot of California people are retreating there too
And
now,
New York.
right?
Yeah,
And New York,
Lots
yeah.
of people.
They go to
Lots of people.
Texas and Florida. That's where everyone's going.
My little
Yeah.
cousin's trying to go to Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did you move into one of the bigger cities like Austin?
I'm in Rowlett, which is in Dallas County.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
And so I'm about a half-hour drive to downtown Dallas.
Oh, nice. And if I'm not mistaken, Texas has a couple great shows down there, right?
Yes, they have Fan Expo. They have a bunch. In fact, I've been looking at my lineup for 2022. I'm working on right now. But yeah, there's a lot of conventions and a lot of comic shops in Dallas.
That's cool.
Which is
so
great.
The community of comics is great down there.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
good.
And a lot of my listeners of the show live out here too, which is crazy.
Oh, cool.
Like, hey, if you ever need help at a convention, I was like, yes, because I don't have to do anymore, because everybody's on the East Coast.
Yeah, right.
Like, but George and I are gonna do MegaCon together. So that's gonna be
nice.
cool.
You're gonna come up with a catchy nickname for your fans, like the Crazies or
They are the
something,
crazies.
or-
They are the
Is
crazies.
that what you call them? The Crazies?
Yes.
That's awesome. But it's always good when you have people like that enjoy the show and want to help you out some way.
Yes.
That's kind of cool because you can just give them here's a handful of flyers, hand them out at the con, that kind of thing.
Like street team,
Yeah, street team,
That's what we had. And it's funny how you say that because in the early days of the podcasting, we had street teams and we had field reporters, and we've had like 6 different ones that would just go out table to table with the mic and the camera and the recorders, and they would do the interviews while we're at the table hustling and doing our thing. Back then, and then now I have to, make my way out here and figure everything out. I've only been here 3 months now.
Oh, really? So it's been that short? Okay.
Yeah.
And do you like it? Do you like it better? I mean, I know you're going from more of a big hustle and bustle kind of.
Yeah, I like it that it's spread out. I'm spread out from my neighbors are like 10 feet away each side. So in Jersey, they were like right on top of me.
Yeah. I would hate that too.
You knew what they were making for breakfast.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's quiet. We live by a lake, and
that's nice.
it's just very quiet. I just have to be mindful because sometimes we'll get bobcat alerts or coyote alerts or stuff like that. I'm like, oh, You know, I that's new for me. I
Yeah.
had
Yeah,
chihuahuas
yeah.
in the house because there was a hawk flying above my yard trying to swoop down to get my chihuahuas. I was like, get us out of the
Oh
house.
no.
Yeah, I'm used to that here in Leominster. We have the coyotes and we have the hawks. There's tons of hawks in this
Oh
area.
yeah.
The other day this is crazy. Like I was coming home from work and I pull onto my street and like 20 feet in front of my car is a coyote just walking
Chilling.
down the street like
Chilling.
no big deal, like
Yeah.
like not a fuck to give basically. And I was like, holy shit. Like it's just out there, and then it ran in our yard and out the other way, and I was like, oh my god, it was nuts.
Yeah, it's
But
crazy.
yeah, they're out there, like we live kind of like not a woodsy area, but you've seen my house, Johnny. We live kind of like on a dead end street that's kind of in like
it's a little rural. Like
it's a little
bit of a
rural, but nothing
yeah.
crazy. There's like there's not miles between houses or anything, so
Right.
Right.
but I like that because we got the same thing, Sam, where it's just you go to bed and you don't hear a peep outside.
Yes.
It's awesome.
I was gonna say, do you feel that type of environment is more conducive for your creativity?
Yeah. I think I was always stressed in the East Coast. There was always something going on. There was always something, and over here, like my mind is clear. You know, we had a small little, maybe 10 foot by 10 foot, concrete yard. We didn't have a
Yeah.
yard, in Jersey. Here I have a huge yard, so I can sit down and the dogs are running around in the grass, and I can just think.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
set-
it's like it's not like a constant noise, right? Like
yes,
just
yes,
and
and
you're
it's just the
you're on
neighbors
edge
gotta
a
talk
little
to me.
bit, I think.
Yes,
Like, you're looking behind you. There's always something, because I've lived in New Jersey and I felt the same way. I only was there for a couple of years, but yeah, it's always like go, 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 like there's
yes.
no
It's
chill. Like it's
no,
what I
and
mean?
then you feel beat,
Yes.
and then you have to like fight through the creativity. You have to like force it.
Yes.
Here, it just feels good. I have a routine that works for me. The first thing I do when I get up, I create a new graphic and I post, and then I feed the dogs. I let them out. I clean everything up, and then I work out. Then I
Yeah.
come back and I start either editing a podcast or
Nice.
or drawing for the comic book that I'm working on or whatever it is. But I have like a routine set.
Are you self-employed or do you
I am a brokepreneur. Yes.
Oh, nice. That's a great
That's
way
a new
to
way.
say it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a new way of putting it. I haven't heard that one before. I love it though.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. So what happened was I've been working since I was 12 years old,
Okay.
and last December, I thought I was going to retire with this company. My company went belly up that I worked
Okay.
for, and and when they announced that they were going, closing down permanently, and I spoke with the family, and they were like, Sam, we ran the numbers, we did the budget, and they were like, you can survive for this amount of time, and go after your dream.
Mm,
But if you exceed that time, we have to rethink your strategy.
gotcha.
And so we did the budget. That's why we said we need to sell the house and we need to move, because we're paying significantly less out here than we did in New Jersey.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it must
but-
be way better.
It's crazy. And so from that point on, I've just been working to try to rebuild everything that I left
Congrats,
for
man.
10 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome, dude. I get that. It's like you now you finally have the time to do stuff. Like you can put it all together. I'm actually contemplating that myself soon because I'm thinking next year at some point, probably early in the year, I may just try to go part-time at my regular job and try to do this a little more. But I don't want to completely give up my job because I know this industry is just feast or famine. Like,
yes.
you know what I mean? Like,
That's the other thing too. It's hard to so by putting it on a scale like that, Sam. It's like it's really hard. It's like this is the allotted time frame you have for your dream. Like dreams shouldn't have an expiration date or a timestamp, but like you have to because you got to live.
because you got
You
a
know what I mean?
family, you
It's
have to
so
support
hard,
yourself,
dude.
and
Yes.
it's like
It almost makes it so much more like heartbreaking in some senses, but also gives you more at stake. So
Yeah.
it probably
Well,
like
it's
awakens a
fine.
lot of a lot within you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all dependent on the person, I would think, too, because if it was just you and you had no other responsibilities, you could probably just be like, I'm just going to go for it if I have to live in my car or whatever. You know what I mean?
Beans, I will survive on pork and beans and
yes,
Yeah.
ramen noodles, whatever, like that, whatever the college, however you survive.
Yeah.
I know when I was in college, it was ramen, spaghetti, and anything you could eat that wasn't expensive,
It's not spaghetti. It's biscottis.
Yes.
Yeah. SpaghettiOs in a can.
Oh,
Yeah.
SpaghettiOs. Oh,
man.
Yes.
No, but I admire that. I admire that you're taking the time to go for it. And I mean, like with crowdfunding and everything else, it's like you can put something together without having to come out of your own pocket, essentially, which is nice. And then if you can just get the shows and like you said earlier in the show, you can find ways to get into shows for free. Like if you can, work with the promoter doing something like the posters, that's a perfect way to get kind of break in. And Johnny was doing that for a while. Johnny, you have a handful of shows that you have an in with because you offer a service for them and you get the free table. And those are the best because then any profit you make just goes right into your pocket, which is nice,
The flip side to that, though, is that if you're working for a show and you're offered a table, well, you can't. It's hard to do both. Like for example, one convention I was working for, I'd be offered a table, but if I'm in panels all day, unless I have somebody to man my table,
that's when you have to have a friend to run your booth for you or whatever.
If it's a multiple person company, you got to divide the responsibility accordingly.
Yeah, I forget. Does George live in Texas too, or is he still up
he
here?
lives in Yonkers.
Yonkers. Okay, so he's still up here, and you guys do the show by Zoom or something, I assume. Or nice. Okay. Yeah, and I saw you guys have a channel. I think I put the link in the chat or in the description of the video. Yeah. So guys, check out Catch the Craze on YouTube as well. And do you guys do live streams like this or?
Yeah, we do live streams every week.
Nice.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then we have pre-recorded shows that air every Fridays. And then I have a show called The Craze and 10 or Less, where it's either the listeners give me a topic and I'll create it's usually about 10 to 15 minute episode, and I'll do my homework and research and I'll talk about that topic like we did. Does an indie creator, do you need an editor? Or
that's a cool idea.
How to make your money back in Artist Alley. That was a 4-episode show.
Really? I'll have to go back and listen to that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that on that thing.
Yeah, and that came from the audience. They said, "Hey, can you do a topic on this?" And then so me, I go in and I said, I gotta give you your money's worth or whatever. And
right on.
All the work.
No, but you get around. You I feel like you could speak on that subject because you've been doing shows since what, early 2000?
100%.
Yeah. And
awesome.
And then we have What's in the Box. So a new episode just aired today where I just feature an indie comic. I'll review it. Sometimes they'll send it to me
in the mail or something.
Yes. Sometimes they'll send it to me or it's a campaign that I supported and I'll just feature it on What's in the Box.
FizzChew is asking what is the channel called again?
Catch the Craze with a DA.
Catch the Craze. I'll put it here. Yeah. Give them a subscribe if you're interested. I think Sam has been in this industry longer than me. Actually, I started doing and I know Johnny, you started in what, 2012 around that era? At that time?
2011, 2012. Okay. But
yes, and
2003, I was just a jerk off in my room watching G4.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
G4, yeah, I remember that. Attacking the show and.
And it's back in California too. We were in Johnny's hotel and it was on TV.
Yeah, I was shocked to see G4 was on TV out in Cali.
And I started probably about 2005, 2006, around that era. But at the time, I wasn't doing comic books. I was doing a web show with a bunch of guys. And then I always wanted to do comics, but I at the time I was only doing that. So then I pivoted to comics, and then I probably was doing comics around 2010. So I've been doing shows for about like a little over 10 years. So not as you guys have been. Oh, Fidget said he's already subscribed, which is awesome.
There you go. That's a testament to how much you guys have been out there. Like our guests are already on your guys' channel.
And
That's
here's
awesome.
a link in the chat for the podcast if you guys wanted to get the audio
Cool.
version. Now, is everything you put on YouTube is there also an audio component on the podcast?
Yes, everything is also. So we have a Podbean. So is it Catch the Craze or catchthecraze.podbean.com, but it's also streamed out to iHeart Radio, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Podcast. So all of the streaming services have the show.
Oh, very cool. Was it easy to get your audience back, or are you still fighting for that?
So when we decided to come back, because we had the YouTube channel, but we didn't do anything with it for 10 years. So when we came back in 2019,
right before
September,
the pandemic.
September 2019, I believe was the first. No, I think it was 2019. Yeah, it was September 2019 was our comeback show, and at that time we had, I think, 41 subscribers. This year we added another 227 subscribers to the channel.
Awesome.
So we're starting
on, dude.
in 2 years. We're almost at 500. So, a lot of the people who followed us from the early days came back. From the comic shows, but it's a slow process.
It totally is. And like I think in comics, people being on YouTube is kind of a new thing too. Like I didn't start noticing that there was a huge community here until probably about 2016 or so. And then and then I was just kind of following, just seeing who was out there, and then the live stream started becoming a thing, and then that's when I decided to kind of jump in. It was right before the pandemic, but Alterna's been doing it for a few, probably since 2016 at least. And I think their subscriber count is around 6,000 now. So their channel's huge now. And, some other creators are that way too. So I know I get what you guys are going through, because we're still trying to build our channel too.
Oh, it's a slow crawl. We know that.
Is.
Yeah. I was just going to say, it's also great to see you work so closely with George in the copy of the Forbidden you sent over.
Yeah, let me pop that up, because
I saw that he actually lettered that for you.
He lettered almost all my books.
That's awesome. And so Keith does a lot of lettering for me too. It's like there's a little bit of a kismet parallel there.
Yes.
Let me make this bigger so that we can kind of see it here. But yeah, I wanted to show it. So this was the one that you just did for the Kickstarter.
This was issue 0. The one that we just did was issue number 2.
So Dragon actually says he has issue 0. Dragon from the Dragon Multimedia from the chat. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This was pretty cool. It kind of like reminded me of like a little bit of Game of Thrones if they were like the dwellers from Nightbreed.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to read it, but I will read it soon. I thank you for sending it too, Sam. I just been so crazy busy with other things that I haven't had a chance to look through it. But I did look through the art and just kind of previewed it really quick, and it does look good. That has me intrigued, Johnny, that it's like sort of like Nightbreed a little bit.
Well, just how like how Medellin or whatever was the underground, hidden city.
Yeah,
like,
the underground.
Take that aspect and then put like
but
stuff it full of Game of Thrones. Yeah, and then there's like a little bit of like a modern day spin twist thing. I thought it was really cool. It was a cool story.
Thank you.
I got to read some more. I'm intrigued.
So the Kickstarter was for issue number
2, which is that one's issue 0. So I started with issue 0. So this the Kickstarter was for the 3rd book in the series. There's 7 books total. The whole entire series is completed. So So when in 2018 when I decided to come back into comics, I commissioned an artist to finish the series, and it's about 168 pages. And so I just got the last page from the colorist. So the whole book is fully colored. George already lettered everything. So the next time we're going to do a crowdfunding for Forbidden will be next fall for the graphic novel, the complete.
Gotcha. And
so
are
this
you
is the last
saving
one.
you're saving all, I think with Kickstarter you can just keep emailing the previous set of
Yes.
backers, right?
Yes.
And letting them know the next one's out.
Yeah.
Because you
so-
said all of the campaigns got funded, right? You were able to. Now has the audience been building between issues? Like, did issue 1 go to issue? Did you make more with issue 1 than you did with 2?
So no,
kind
so
of thing?
this one, you know, it's interesting. Issue 1, we issue 0, we were funded. The goal was only 500.
Yeah.
So we did over $1,000. Issue 2, we almost doubled that,
Okay.
and we increased our backers. Issue 3, we did less, because we had at least 7 or 8 last minute pull out.
Okay.
And so we actually did less. We had more backers, but we did less volume.
Gotcha.
Money wise, which was interesting because the way the trajectory was working, it looked like everything was going up.
Yeah, that's usually what I've been seeing with crowdfunders. So maybe you'll see that with the next one. Like, if you offer the other previous issues with it, I imagine you do, right?
Yeah, every campaign we offer the previous issue.
Yeah, that's smart because if like the catch-up perk or whatever,
Sebastian Bonet in the chat said it right. If you want to pop it up.
Yeah, Sam, take my money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sebastian, thanks for
Hells
joining us, man. And then I saw that Dragon Multimedia says same issue I got physically.
Nice. Glad to see that issue's out there circulating.
Oh, and then Sebastian also
That's
said
awesome.
slow crawl, but we all gonna own YouTube. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
Amen. That's awesome.
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, no, this looks good, Sam. So where did this idea come from? Is this were your brainchild or?
Yes, I created it in 2000.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes,
So
and
you've been working on this since then, huh?
Yeah, and
wow.
I created the character Sin, which is that character that's running towards the camera right now on the screen.
Here.
That's a female, but behind him.
Behind him, this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So his name is Starticus. Well, I created Sin as the character. So if you've seen any of the promos, he's in a red suit and his hair that I put out. I created the character because I was like inspired. I wanted to create a character that can rival like Grifter from Wildcats.
Okay.
And then I put it away, and then I came back to it and I said, why did I call him Sin in the first place? That can't be his real name. And that's how I started building the story. It's like, well, then the name Starticus came to my head. And I was like, why is it, well, I was like, all right, so why did he get the name Sin? Well, he had to do something really bad. What would that have been? There's nothing worse than doing something against the family. And then what would that be? He had to commit murder. And so, and that's how I started building. And it's like, well, then I added his father, Lord Vox, and then I added his sister, Desiree. And I just started working backwards and asking questions. It was almost like a forensics board. I just kept on saying, why this, and
that's the way to do it, though. It's like you sit down and you figure out all those odds and ends,
Yes. So basically, the plot of the story is there's a race of people that lived, centuries ago. And a group of hunters walked into a forbidden forest and they were immediately attacked by creepers, which are these demonic entities. And one made it out back to the village, and a figure shows up and says, give us back the hunter who desecrated our land and no harm will come to you. Choose not to and suffer the wrath of Nokron. They chose not to. Morning comes. They wake up to screams. They're burning from the sun. They start fleeing, and those who made it on the ground were never seen again. So now fast forward. Modern day technology, we have cars, cell phones, all that stuff. The world has evolved, and so has Nokron in the form of David Hunter, who's a billionaire. His goal is to dominate the globe. Well, there's prophecy states that his empire will be destroyed at the hands of the son of Vox if he rises from the caverns, and that's where issue 0 took place. The son starts off challenging his father. How do you know this curse still exists, father? We've been down here for ages. His father locks up his son. His son commits murder to get out and escape with the aid of Arius, the young lady you saw him running with, and that's where it takes off. And so the sister's caught between a rock and a hard place because does she choose stay and protect her family for what she knows to come because his foolish brother's about to unleash the darkness, because when they find out that the son of Vox has risen, they're gonna come after him. Or does she go after him and bring him back safely? So she's caught between a rock and a hard place. He doesn't know what he just unleashed because of his foolishness. But then you have to ask the question, where did that information come from? If he's grown up down there, why all of a sudden does he want to why is he curious about the surface? There has to be an influencer. So there's a lot of twisted turns to this. And so issue 2 answers a lot of questions from issue 0 and 1. And then you get to learn who is this strange figure. His name is Viejo, who befriends Sin when he gets to the surface. So there's a lot of things that happen to it. There's a lot of moving parts. And it's total 7 issues.
Awesome. So is it like a beginning, middle, and end, or do you guys
Yes.
or do you see more?
It's beginning, middle, and end. And how it ends, it'll force the reader to create their own stories.
Cool.
Because it's going to have more questions, right? But it has a solid ending to this arc. But it opens a lot of doors to potential.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, so this has been a long time coming to get it all out.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I was excited. I couldn't get Anibal to finish the story,
Mhm.
who did the first 2 issues.
Yeah.
So I found an artist. His name is Prime Santra on DeviantArt in 2018, and it took
now
me
you're gonna
to do about 110 pages.
Oh wow. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes you got to do that in indie comics. I had to do that with my first mini series, like my first Hero Envy. I had one artist, and then I lost him, and then I had to do issues 2 and 3 with a different artist. Sometimes it's just what happens,
Yeah.
Artists. I don't. Sebastian said
The Viejo. Yeah, I know. I saw it.
Now, what is that? Is that a character in the?
Viejo is old man, right?
Oh,
and so,
okay.
And that's the character in the book. He's when Sin gets to the surface, he wakes up. He's alone. Arius is not with him. They escape together. So it's like, where is she? And he's befriended by this old wise man. And
Cool.
you find out in issue 2 who this wise man really is. And their meeting was not by chance.
Well, I like that you came in and you have a plan for the whole thing, and you know where everything's going and how it's going to end, and I think that's what you talked about when you were creating the characters.
Yeah.
Is just sitting down with like that chart and that like like where you're like almost like trying to catch a serial killer. Like you got a pinpoint here, it's like
Yes.
like you see in the movies, and you're just trying to make that character's history. I like that. I think that's important to do, is reverse engineer.
I was gonna say that's one of my tactics when I start to plot a story out is it's literally that, but I do it in like paints because it's real easy.
Right.
And I draw a circle, write out everything about that character, and then lines, and then I won't stop until everything's connected. I'm like, well, now I have all the pieces for a cohesive story
Right.
where everybody's accounted for. You know what I mean?
Yes. Because when I met Anibal Arroyo, I knew that I wasn't the right artist for Forbidden. Right. Yeah. So I knew my limitations. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to give this story justice. And so I put it away. And it wasn't until I think it was like 2005 when I met Anibal Arroyo it was at a Star Wars convention in Secaucus, New Jersey. And we thought, Cosmic Wars would do well at Star Wars convention. Absolutely not. And that was a big mistake. Only, so we didn't sell one book at that damn convention. But we did meet Anibal, who was on leave from the military, and he was walking around trying to show his portfolio around. And when I saw his art, I was like, hey, I got this project. And so we met at a Starbucks. I had everything. I had all of the character designs, the character bios, the first 2 scripts written out, the history, timelines, everything.
Oh, wow.
I gave him this big book, and I gave a pack of 11x17 storyboards, Bristol boards. I was like, here you go. He just, everything he did was just beautiful. And that's how that started. And then when I left comics, I left it. We never got to finish the series. And so when I decided to come back, I wanted to finish that project because it was always sitting in the back of my head. So I finished.
It sucks to have something unfinished, right?
Yes.
Like you kind of want to, because you had the story, you had everything, and it's like, it's like a part of you is missing,
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. But it also, you know what though, there's a beauty in it, and the flip side is that the time in between, the story can transform. You're different too, so you can reflect upon the story and you can make it better. So, quick side note is. Before I left San Diego, I got to meet with my co-creator on Surrounded by Death. And as we're chit-chatting about, pacing and story and how many issues we're, going to end it at, and, what, pages need to be done more immediately versus the others. And then at one point in the conversation, he stops and he goes, this story is completely transformed from the original manuscript that we pitched back and forth from each other back in like 2013 when we first started, kind of conceiving the idea.
Right.
And it was just like it just go, and he was like elated, because it was like, it goes to show that collaboration,
Yes.
you know what I mean, can like
Changes.
really transform a project and can kind of reinforce the other creator where there might be things that they didn't see or they weren't quite apparent to them.
Right.
Right. And
It's
I love
true.
that.
I've
Yes.
seen that in action, with some of my stuff too. And I'm sure you have too, Sam,
Yeah, I mean, George and I, we work on a book together called Catch the Crazies.
Yeah.
And so the way we handled it, Catch the Crazies basically is loosely based on us. So it's our stories on how we got into comics and how we created a podcast. And then I left podcast. I left everything, and George stood in the game, and there was a void in his life, and I'm doing the 9-to-5 grind, and there's a void in my life. And then we meet up after 10 years, and we're like, hey, let's bring back the show. And, so it follows our timeline with a supernatural twist, right?
Okay.
And so, so basically, I create this alter ego called the Crazy Man, and on my show, there's a lot of skits with the Crazy Man. He's an Afro bell bottom wearing disco dude, and so basically, what happens is we come back and we don't have the same fanfare that we had in the beginning.
Okay.
So and then George and I are being taunted by rival podcasters called We Are the Craze, right? So they took our name and they flipped it, right? And so they called George like the Creamer, George the Creamer Medina instead of the Dreamer. And so they'll say, yeah. So I get annoyed, so I go off into the woods and I shout out to the universe, help us be the best podcast in the universe, right? So watch what you wish for, you just might get it. So the Crazy Man answers, right? He comes from another realm and he answers by bringing the crazies to Earth. And so humans can't see them. So what happens is, what they do, and they go and start bopping people over the heads with microphones, and now they're addicted to the show, right? And they're walking around like zombies. So now our podcast is taking off, it's on fire, but society, the law enforcement doesn't know what's going on because people being called on missing. They're in like a zombie state. They're walking around because they're addicted to Catch the Craze. And so now we have to stop the madness because now we're under an investigation, and so everything just goes haywire. So that's
I like that. I like
that's cool.
yes.
and
we're
back,
ready,
but it's back to that branding too. How
Yes.
like you were doing, like everything was crazy or Catch the Craze, and I like that. I mean, that's smart that you were doing that marketing even from the beginning. You know what I mean? And
I love the semi-meta angle where it's
but that's
like,
fun. That's
it's
you can,
so fun.
you know,
It's like a adjacent versions of yourself.
yeah. I mean, that's what Hero Envy was with us too.
Yeah.
Because like all those characters were us,
Right.
but just taken to the 10th degree.
Right. The web series I wrote with my friends in the band Vulgarity, who actually the music in the Surrounded by Death trailer at the top of the show. When we did their series, it was the same thing. It was them as they are in the band, but taken to the 10th degree.
It's crazy.
To like
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I love that. I think there's
definitely a fun there. Like if people know you, they know the show, and then you can even like bring some of the fans into the show as zombies or whatever, too. That's another angle you could do,
Well, one of our comebacks was we launched, that was our first actually crowdfunding campaign, was Catch the Crazies #1. It was last year, August. We launched September. And I'm currently, at that time it was illustrated by JC Grande. And so I'm actually doing issue 4. So we did 3 already on crowdfunding since last year, and issue 4 will come out in July on Kickstarter.
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
Dragon Multimedia said issue 0 was a good read. I hope for the best with the next issues. Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, we up to issue 2 is out right now, right?
Issue 2 is out right now. Yeah. So the
you can
Kickstarter
go out
just ended.
Yep.
Yeah, but it'll be available on the website in January.
Excellent.
Yes.
Sebastian says, "I volunteer as tribute to get bopped and become a zombie."
Oh,
That's awesome.
all right, I'm gonna get the biggest microphone I can find.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, we've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. It's
It
crazy
flew
how fast
by.
this show
It
goes.
absolutely flew by.
I know. So we should probably
We
start
could probably
wrapping
go
up.
for like another hour and a half. If you
Well,
let
one
us,
thing
you
I
know?
wanted to show though, real quick, is Sam's website as well. Like,
Yeah, let's fire it up.
you know, welcome to the Craze. You know, like, so if people go to this website, Sam, what is that? What do they see here? Is it like links to the podcast and YouTube channel as well as your comics? Is that?
Yes. So you can buy my books from my website.
Yeah.
It has any conventions that I'm going to do. I usually post it on that main page.
Okay.
I have a blog where I usually put my updates. So I haven't updated
Here's
this.
all the
That
stuff
California
about
just ended.
the Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Yeah.
Yes. And there's an alien in my toilet is coming back. That was one of my books. His name is Duty. He's from Uranus, and so he's coming. He's launching on Kickstarter February.
So this is going to be your next campaign.
This is gonna be my next campaign. Yes.
Oh, cool. So that's
Awesome.
definitely a comedy.
Guy right here.
Oh, let me see that. Hang on one sec.
Oh,
Hold that up.
awesome! Look at that.
Oh, very cool. So did you have that 3D printed, or is that?
No,
like...
I had it. This is latex. I had this done.
Oh, really?
I had this done back in 06, and this is.
I like the design. Can you hold
this-
it up one more time?
This is
Cool.
the bust. This is the bust.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Here you go.
Very cool.
And
So
this
now,
is-
are you going to be drawing this one too, or?
I did all of it. Yeah, I
okay.
wrote it. George lettered it. Lettered
Okay.
it, and he colored it. I wrote it, illustrated the whole thing, and
So let me
so
ask
this
you:
is
do you have a pre-launch for this setup, or is it too early?
the pre-launch launches the day that I get the check in the bank from Kickstarter. That's the day that yes, they won't let me
This will launch.
until they send me the funds. So the launch page is going to launch on the 15th because it takes
Okay.
14 days to get the funds from Kickstarter.
Awesome.
But
So
they
is
can
there
sign up for my newsletter.
Yeah, is that where do they people go for that? Because
right in there,
where's it?
where it says email,
Email right here,
right here in the middle between commissions are open, down,
down.
right there, that little red box.
Oh, commission art open.
Yeah, right in the middle.
To the left-
Oh,
to
right
the
here.
right of
Oh,
where it says
Jesus,
email.
right here, in the middle of my face. Okay, so go here and sign up. Look, I'm gonna sign up right here.
There you go.
There you go. I'm signed up.
Those-
All right. So yeah. So go right
right
here.
in front of you, Keith.
I know.
just got
Put
it.
your email in.
It just showed up on my phone.
Awesome. So put your email in and get
Yes.
on, and that'll notify you when the Kickstarter launches. For There's an Alien in My Toilet Volume 1. This sounds great. Sounds
what
like a
I'm
lot of
hearing
fun.
is that Sam and George need to come on together
Yes.
in February
Yes.
to promote this next project.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be great if you guys both come on. Yeah, we'll set something up. This time
It'll
we
be an
won't
official
miss.
crossover.
Yeah, we won't miss the deadline. My wife says that is cute. LOL.
Thank you. Yeah. So when I created this book,
Yeah.
it really, that's another reason why I stopped doing Forbidden, because it took off. And I was I was signed with Circle of Confusion Management. They represent Robert Kirkman, the Wachowski brothers.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so we were this close to a deal with Warner Brothers or Disney. And
Oh really?
and then everything just dropped because Warner Brothers they canceled Kids WB, and then they changed everything. So that leadership team was gone, and they restructured. So whatever was on the table was gone. And then Disney, the person I would contact, left the company, and she went to some other company. And so
man,
that was one of the reasons why I left comics too, because we were putting
you
so
were
much
disheartened by that whole
yes and
process.
promoting. And so when I did Disney in My Toilet back then, I mean, we were featured on national television, radio, newspapers.
Oh wow.
And then everything then there was like that dark cloud for a minute where nothing was
Yeah.
working, and then I just left. I was like, you know what, I'm done. And it
I
was
can
taking a
see
toll
where that
on
would
the family.
break you, because that was huge. That's like an opportunity that
Yeah.
kind of went over.
Yeah, so the guys were convincing me you need to bring Duty back, and I was like, all right. And so I had this done back then, and I sold a few of the figures back when I used to tour, conventions. We were doing like 14, 16 conventions a year.
Wow.
Nationwide. It was just crazy. And so it was, when you're funding everything out of your own pockets, it takes a
lot.
toll.
Adds up.
Yeah. So
definitely.
then we had the family meeting. It's like, it's too much right now, but so I walked away. I didn't even make an announcement. I just disappeared. Everybody's like, what the hell happened to Sam?
Yeah,
And
you just ghosted everybody. Yeah,
I just ghosted. I was gone. Because
but I
I
get
was
that.
bruised. I was so hurt for having to leave. I just didn't know how to say anything.
I mean, right there was like, like you were so close to going to that next level with it, like, making your comic into a show or cartoon. And, honestly, I don't know if, I'm thinking about Disney now. And this seems like something Disney doesn't even have the sense of humor for, you know what I mean?
No, I think they said, and then when she left the company, I forgot her name, Karen something. When she left, the person that had it on the table said it was too scatological for them or whatever. So I said, can you just use a regular word, please?
Yeah, right.
I had to go to a dictionary. What the hell is scatological?
Yeah. Can you define that for me?
Yes.
They don't even know what that means. They just throw around those Hollywood buzzwords.
Yeah, so I'm like, what the hell is he saying?
But Sam, something similar happened to me too with the Mighty Mascots. Like before COVID, I had from New York Comic Con like 2 years ago. Not a show, but I had a toy company interested in making figures and stuff. And
nice.
I had, I was holding back my expectations because I know anything like that could kind of fall through, and it did. COVID hit, and then just forget it. They just went a whole other direction and everything. But for a minute there, I was like, oh, toys would be so awesome, and and then it was just kind of gone,
The problem is the vetting process takes so long.
It does, yeah.
And it goes through. It has to go through so many signatures,
so many people that you're shocked that something even gets made nowadays.
There's so
like,
many.
And I think that's one thing that the thing that pulled me out of that little bit of a slump was that I just love comics so much that I just always fall back to that. Like, it's like, all right, they don't want it. Move it to the side, onto the next thing. Let's make another book. You know what I mean? Like it was just, let's go to another show. Let's find a new reader, that kind of thing. That's where my head's always at with that kind of stuff. And I'm at the point now where it's like, I just want to make books. And then if something like that does happen eventually, fine, but as of now, I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm just going to try to just make comics and try to get more readers and get more people interested in the property and everything,
And that's what I believe, because like everything that I've done, I wasn't following a trend. It was something from my heart, something that, sometimes, I always say there's a soul that passed on, and then they have unfinished products, and then they come and they throw their ideas into you, and they're like, hey, finish this for me. And,
and you carry on that torch.
Yeah, you carry the torch. And for me, it's like Duty and the Crazies and Forbidden, they're all specific genres. It's not what's trending today, right? But it's something from my heart. It's something that we believe in strongly, and we're passionate about it. We gave everything that we have creatively into the projects, and ride or die, like it or I'm happy with the finished product. And that's awesome. For me, that's the most important part of it. And hopefully that extends to the reader.
Yeah, and the other good thing that looks like you have the full book there. It's like 175 pages. That's awesome. That's gonna be nice.
Actually, right. This was distributed.
Oh yeah, let me see.
So this was distributed back in.
Let's take a look.
This was available at Borders and Barnes and Nobles. And
Walmart. Really? That's very cool.
Yeah, back awesome. Then, but it was in black and white. This time it's going to be in color. So
that's very cool. And you'll find that there's always an audience that even if they didn't get it in Barnes and Nobles years ago, you could still sell it.
There's no longer in circulation. That one's no longer in circulation. Whatever's, if they still have anything in their inventory,
it's the old version, right?
It's the old version. So the new one's fully colored, remastered. And so I'm excited about it.
Awesome. So he doesn't have the Kickstarter pre-launch going yet. So go to the website, icreatestories.com, right?
Yes, icreatestories.com.
icreatestories.com. It's in the description of the live stream. check that out and put your email in and sign up for the newsletter so you get informed when that Kickstarter goes live. And then we'll have George and Sam back probably February, you said, is when you're launching
Yes,
it?
because we're
Catch
launching
the Craze crossover.
Yes.
There you
Right?
go. Yes, it's second week of February. This launches.
Awesome. And I'd love to hear some
We have
of
a
the
lot of
crazy
people we know
con
who are
stories
launching
from
in
you guys.
February too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great time too, because you let people detox from New Year's and Christmas, and you let that month ride out.
Yeah,
And then in February, everyone starts getting their income tax and feeling good, planning their vacations.
Yes.
Boom. Start.
Boom. There's a comic for the vacation. Yeah.
Yep,
Yes.
100%.
You need something for your trip? Here we
Yeah,
go.
exactly. Get it before you get on that plane, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So yeah, let's start wrapping up. So Sam, where can people find you? What plugs did you want to give?
It's Catch the Craze. Anywhere on social media, it's Catch the Craze, and you'll find me. And that's with a DA, not a THE. It's whether it's on TikTok, Snapchat, Tumblr, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
Oh, nice. You're everywhere. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm a stalker.
specifically sub to the channel, the YouTube channel. He's got great advice for indie creators. So I always say check that out because he gives advice on how to sell and other things on the channel. Plus, he has interview with great creators. And then also the podcast too for the audio version. If you need something on your drive to work, listen to that.
And Catch the Crazies. All 3 issues are available on the website. And
then, like I said, sign up for the newsletter on icreatestories.com. Let me just share that in the chat real quick. Check out the website here. And there we go. Put that in the chat. Johnny, what do you got going on this week?
So next Friday, Artist Alley, P14, C2E2, Chicago. I will see you there.
Wow.
So that's when next Friday?
Next Friday. So actually I'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. No, it's Friday. Next Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
This guy doesn't stop.
No, man, I'm
never
never
gonna stop, man.
That's awesome.
But I love that about Johnny. Johnny's everywhere, and I love that about him. Like he's got the passion I had like 15 years ago. To
I
go.
gotta make it happen. You know what I mean?
Now I'm too tired.
I'm still tired.
Johnny.
I'm still tired. I'm surprised I was not for the lack of because everybody's awesome, but for the lack of sleep. I'm surprised I made it through the interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, Johnny's a trooper. He literally got in this morning and he still was up for doing the show. So I love you for that, bud.
No problem at all. I wanted to be here for Sam. Sam came to us first, and then George kind of swooped in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. George was like, I'm gonna swoop in real quick. He taste tested for you, basically.
Yeah, Sebastian said he bumped into Johnny on his Vegas vacation.
That's true. I did run into Sebastian in Vegas randomly.
That's funny.
No conventions. I was on a work trip.
I thought he was kidding. That's great.
No, that's real. It was weird. It was weird and awesome. I was like, Sebastian? Like, what? And the other thing I wanted to say is that I know lots of people have been waiting for an update on Surrounded by Death in terms of the Kickstarter fulfillment.
Yeah,
I'm overdue for an update. I'm going to get one soon, but fulfillment's going to start as soon as I get back from Chicago. So awesome. The people who got individual issues, double issues, variant covers, things like that, you'll be getting it first. People who got the bigger things, we're still waiting on t-shirts and coffee selections. So I'm going to put a cutoff date on that soon. And then once people,
awesome.
Once that's
done.
Did you decide
about the shipping? I know we talked about it a little bit in San Diego. Are you going to wait till after the holidays?
I'm going to do the small stuff now, and then I'll,
okay.
By the time I'm thinking the
media mail probably be still reasonably priced. I don't know if that's going to get hit by the holiday crunch or whatever the crap they're doing.
Yeah, that's ideally what I'm going to be probably fulfilling with is the media mail options first, and then the larger packages later, because again, we're still waiting on some survey replies, and I can't piecemeal order t-shirts. I have to order in bulk.
Awesome.
Same thing with the coffee.
Yeah, and you may want to like send out a tweet or something, or
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
Facebook
I'll do a big
post
update.
to get
Nice.
those surveys filled out so that you have
Mhm.
the info.
Yeah.
That's nothing worse than you've done the campaign and like 3 months later someone responds and you're like,
Oh, I still have a couple of boxes that
yeah, that did
ready
just
to go,
sitting
just
there.
waiting for them to send me the address.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
this
got
was
I got a
from-
package from
yeah.
mine, like return to sender from months ago. Tried contacting the guy, no idea. He's dropped
Nothing.
off the face of the earth.
I mean, I track these people down on their social media handles, and I just they won't respond, so I still have it in the boxes
It's
just in
crazy,
case.
right?
You never
Just in
know.
case, yeah, they'll get back to you 3 years from
Yeah,
now and say,
yeah.
"Hey, where's my book?" You know, even though you've been contacting them a million times, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, this is the fun part of crowdfunding, I guess. Not much else for me. Just check out the Alterna pre-launch or the pre-order fall campaign that we showed at the beginning of the show. Check that out. I think it's got about a week or two before that thing closes out. So check that out. And then we'll be back. We're still doing our bi-weekly schedule, so we'll be back on the 15th, I believe. Yep, it's the next next date, and I believe the next guest is Dan Pleagle, I believe is the name. So we'll have him on the show in 2 weeks.
And that I think
That's,
is our last one of the year, right?
yeah, I believe that's the last one of unless we do one. Yeah, no, we technically we should be back on the 29th. So if we do the 2 weeks, but we could maybe talk about taking off. I don't know, or we do it as just an open mic and see who shows up.
Whatever.
Yeah, we could do something like that. Maybe
Whatever.
We'll see. We'll see. I know I'll be around. I'm not going anywhere, and
Yeah.
So, but all right. Any last words, guys, before we close out this live stream?
No, thank you, and kick ass at C2E2, Johnny.
Yeah,
Thanks, my
Judge.
man. Thank you for taking the time to come on and talk with us. We appreciate it.
Thank
And
you
you'll
for-
be back. Will you have done C2E2 before the next show?
Yes. So,
Okay. So we'll
I'll
have a
do my
wrap up
C2E2
there. I'd like
report.
to hear about that.
Oh, wait
show.
a minute. What's the date? Wait. What's the date of the next show?
The next show would be the 15th.
15th. Yeah, I get back on the 13th.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I'd love to hear an update and how that went.
You got it.
All right, cool. All right, so good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Catch the Craze, and we'll be back in 2 weeks on the 15th. All right.
you.
Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Good night.